Hello everyone, I'm Quinn Buckland, author of such books as The Engine What Runs the World, Fallen Gods, and my latest, Dead Man Walking. And I just finished book 5 of The Wheel of Time. And because this is a 14-book series, 15 including the prologue, I will do a full series review when I'm done the whole thing, but I kind of want to do things in smaller increments as well, and I figured doing a character ideal, like a character review, I suppose, in like 5-book increments would be a really cool idea. Now, as you can see, I have characters that died too soon for me to have an opinion, which is, three of the Forsaken, which is unfortunate. And the haven't reached this character yet within the series. I did look up just in case I wasn't remembering a character, but yeah, I don't actually know these characters, so well, except for like Cadsuane, who does show up in New Spring, which I have read, so I mean, this is 6 books that I'm doing, I suppose, but her role was really, really little in New Springs, so I'm not really counting her. Other than that, these characters have yet to show up in the books, and I will be going from there. So first off, we're going to start with Agelmar. He's in the first 2 books from what I've read, and, he is kind of a major player within those 2 books. Well, like at the end of the first book and through the beginning of the second one. But he's not really in it much, but I did like the character while he was there, so Agelmar's good. I like Agelmar. He was kind of an interesting character, and I'd like to see more of him within the series. Alanna. Alanna interests me. I can't really say as I enjoy her character because she hasn't really played much of a role, like at very least outside the 2 rivers, from what I can remember. Like, she's here and there, but she hasn't really been a major player. I'll put her ahead of Agelmar just because she does intrigue me, but that's about as far as it goes. Actually, Aludra, yeah, she was saved by Matt and Tom, and then she was in Master Luca's menagerie, but other than that, I really just don't care. She really hasn't had much of a presence for me to care. Elviarin. Elviarin, I kind of like the character. I kind of want to see where this goes. Yeah, I kind of actually really want to see where this goes. Because I am curious. Asmodean. I like Asmodean. He is a very cool character. He is the sort of character that if he'd have stayed just a Forsaken, he'd probably be down in meh or maybe even good at most, but because of what happens to him and his role with throughout the 5th book, actually even him throughout the 4th book, just accentuating what he does within the 5th book just really makes me like Asmodean. Aviendha. I really like Aviendha. I liked Aviendha when I first read The Wheel of Time back when I was a kid. Because I had read the first 10 books initially, but to be perfectly honest, I don't really remember anything past book 5. And even then, I only really remember little tiny bits and pieces, like little scenes and stuff like that, but that's really about all. But I always remember really liking Aviendha. She's feisty, she's strong-willed, she's got honor, she's got duty, she's just this really good, rich character, and I think she's really good for Rand, which, honestly, is just fantastic. Bashir. Bashir has only really just shown up, so I really don't have an opinion of him, so just kind of by default he's here. I think he's going to play more from the 6th book on, but I don't really know for sure. Let's see. Barrelane. Barrelane is interesting, I guess. She's also just kind of meh right now. I'm curious to see what happens with her, but a part of me also just really doesn't care. Because, you know, she's just kind of a bitch to Faile, and, you know, she tried to come on to Rand, and just not really my kind of character, I think. She's not a bad character, she's not a terrible character, she's just kind of, if she doesn't show back up in the series, I really don't care. I'm assuming that most of these characters that show up on this list do actually show up more throughout the series. At least the ones that haven't died within like one book, like Ingtar. I'm actually surprised Ingtar's on this list. Brigitta. I love Brigitta. She is... I don't like her as much as Aviendha, but I really like her character. She's just as strong-willed as Aviendha, and she's the only person that I've really seen put Nynaeve in her place. And, frankly, that alone deserves just a clap. Because anybody that puts that bully in her place is deserving. Gareth Bryn. Gareth Bryn was kind of really forgettable in the first few books, but then that book 5... he kind of started to grow on me. I don't think he's a great character as of yet. I look forward to seeing where he goes. But for now, he's not really a major player. Like, he's got Swan and Min and Lyanna under his control in Saladar, but that's about it. Couladin. Couladin is... he is just the worst, but he's just the worst in all the right ways. I enjoy Couladin as a character. He's just that level of hot-headed that you know he's going to be just this petty little villain. You know, he's not a major player. He's not this huge, overarching, you know, major character arc sort of villain. Like, no, he's a book and a half kind of villain. And even then, he's not really that big of a player in those. He's just kind of a nuisance, but, you know, him portraying himself as the Karakarn and trying to be all whatever, and just completely blowing it with anything, with all the other Aiel, with the exception of his own clan. Couladin is not a great character, but I just really enjoy whenever he was on the page. Bayle Domon. Bayle Domon is fun. I enjoy Bayle Domon. I don't love him as a character. If he doesn't come back, I won't be entirely heartbroken. But a part of me really hopes he does. Egianin. She's only been in book 4 so far, so I really don't know much about her, but from what I've seen of her, she's okay. She's a good character, but I don't care if she comes back or not. I think she could really show more of what the Seanchan are capable of becoming in terms of who they are like in this world. But like I said, if she doesn't come back, I really don't care. She is a good character, but she's not great by any means. Egwene. I love Egwene. Egwene is so great. She is absolutely fantastic, provided she's not around Rand. If Egwene's around Rand, she is almost insufferable with just how belittling she is to him. Other than that, she is a fantastic character, and I really like Egwene, and I really look forward to seeing where her character story goes. There are some things I remember from a little later on, but I can't really say for sure if I'm remembering things correctly, so if it goes the way that I'm thinking it does, you know, awesome. If not, then hey, at least I get to discover a different story. Okay. Elida. She's just the worst. I don't like her character. I didn't like her in Eye of the World. I didn't like her in any of the other sequential books. Like, so far, she has just not been a good character. She's not been, like she's not a compelling villain. She's not an interesting character at all. Even in terms of, like, her coup in the White Tower is just kind of, eh. It has bigger stakes and bigger character arcs for all the, like, for everybody else that is a part of what's going on. And it's actually part of the reason why Alviarn seems to be kind of interesting to me, because for one, she's the keeper who is not a red, you know, because Elida's a red, and now the Amyrlin, and the Amyrlin usually has a keeper from the same Aja, but she's a white, which is fascinating. And I'm wondering where she is going to go, because I think she's got a lot more going on than what she's making things out to be. Especially with that letter to Rand. That was interesting. But Elida, yeah, no, she's just not a good character, and I really just don't care if I ever, like, I'm just not interested in her story. Elaine. Elaine is a really good character. I like Elaine. I don't love Elaine, but she is top of I enjoy them. I don't think there's going to be one that tops Elaine in this category that I can think of. You know, she is the kind of character that I can see being good for Rand, but also she is learning to be her own person and kind of not be so much of the daughter heir, and being more of her own person, learning to be an Aes Sedai and whatnot. It's interesting, and I like it. Elias. Elias has only been in the first book so far, and he's an interesting character. And I kind of hope he shows back up. I'm going to put him above Gareth Bryn. But so far, he's really only been in just a few chapters of the first book, and I really just don't know that much about him to really be interested. Faile. I love Faile. She is one of my favorite characters so far. She is just the right amount of strong-willed. I think she's a great match for Perrin, for just the entire juxtaposition in terms of the personalities that her and Perrin have. Perrin is slow to act. He thinks things through. He's very methodical. Faile is quick to act. She's quick to emotion. She is very quick to everything. And she just knows how to make Perrin do the right thing every time, even if he himself just doesn't see what the right thing is. Like, there was, like, even that sort of petty thing that she had with him when they were leaving Tyr to go to the Two Rivers. Even then, she was wrong to do what she did, but I don't hate her for it. I think her reasoning was in the right. She just kind of did it wrong. And even then, Perrin wasn't exactly in the right either, and she kind of had to show him that, hey, I can take care of myself, and you know I can take care of myself. Faile, I get that a lot of readers hate Faile. I really love her character so far. Galad. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I really like Galad. And I know he does the right thing, even to a fault, but that's kind of why I like him. It's because, yeah, he may be doing something that's counterintuitive to the main characters, and even then he hasn't really been doing anything that's counterintuitive. Like, anytime that he's been on the page, especially outside the White Tower, all he's really done is helped Elaine and Nynaeve get to where they want to go. Albeit, you know, that wasn't what he intended, but that's what he did. And he doesn't intend anything to be malicious or anything like that. He tries to do the right thing. He's doing the thing that he thinks is right, and I genuinely like that in a character. Even when what they're doing is not the greatest. Gaul. Gaul is pretty good. I don't recall much of his stuff. Like, I know he's the person that Perrin freed, and he's kind of just been tagging along with Perrin, but for the most part, he's just kind of good. I imagine I'm going to see more of him and more of his character later on, but so far he's just been kind of the quiet companion to Perrin, whereas Faile has her two Aiel companions as well. Gawain. Gawain is like he's the brother to Elaine, and he's in training to be a warder, and that's really all I know about his character, and that's really all I really know about much of him. Also, he lost a lot of points with me by staying with the White Tower, even though he did let Swan and all them escape. He's just kind of don't really care for him so far. Graendal, she's another one I just really don't have much of an opinion of. You know, she's been around here and there, but for the most part, she just hasn't really been that much of a presence. Yeah, nah. Don't really care what happens to her later on. Maybe I will if she becomes more of a presence, but until then. Hurin. I like Hurin. He is a good character. He is the sort of, like, he just stood with Rand, and he helped Rand out throughout the entirety of Book 2. I like Hurin. He just seems like a really stand-up guy. Ingtar. Ingtar annoyed the hell out of me. And not even like his story arc or his character arc, just Ingtar in general just annoyed the hell out of me. He was very, very focused on getting the horn. That was his whole thing. We have to get the horn, we have to get the horn, we have to get the horn, we have to get the horn. And that got really annoying very quickly. I'm kind of happy he didn't last past Book 2. Ishamael. Ishamael was a very effective villain for the first 3 books. He is a villain that I very much enjoyed, and I kind of wish he would have lasted just a little bit longer. But at the same time, you kind of can't have the same villain consistently showing up and continuing to be beaten by the main character, but still not dead, or still not entirely defeated, but he can continue to come back, because every time he gets defeated, it just kind of takes a lot of the power away from what the villain is supposed to be. So him dying in the 3rd book really made a lot of sense, but I wish he would have been around just a little bit longer, and maybe around just a little more sparsely. Especially since he was supposed to be the strongest of the Forsaken. Like, the strongest being taken out so quickly, that was just kind of... It was a bold choice. Lanfear. Lanfear was kind of menacing, actually. Lanfear was a really, really good villain. I genuinely enjoyed Lanfear on the page. I don't think she is a particularly powerful villain, at least as far as I know. But she was in all the right places. She did all the right things. Just be that really interesting style of villain. She's not she's not the big bad. And frankly, she kind of got taken out really easy. And honestly, she could have been taken out pretty easily by Rand if he didn't have this whole thing about killing women. But that's kind of a Rand thing, and how she got taken out was just fantastic. Lan. Lan has always been one of my favorite characters. When I was first reading the books, Lan just really stood out to me. He was the character name that I would use in all of my RPGs that I played, like Diablo and whatnot, because I typically play warriors, so Lan was my character. And that was just something that I genuinely loved. He's just a great all-around character. And honestly, just seeing him grow as a character within these first 5 books is just amazing, and I really want to see where he goes, and I really hope that he can get his happy ending with Nynaeve, as much as I don't like Nynaeve, spoiler alert, but I think he could probably make Nynaeve a little less abrasive. But moving on, Lyanna. I like Lyanna. I think she is just that right level of cocky while also having just a really strong head on her shoulders and knowing how to get to where she wants to go and how she wants to do things, even if she does kind of have to figure things out. I really like Lyanna. Lews Therin. Lews Therin is just the fucking worst. You know, he's as a person, he's only in the prologue of the first book, and it was shortly after he kills his wife. Yeah, I mean, he did go mad because of the power and whatnot, and there's all that stuff going on. But then after that, anytime he's in Rand's head, it's just Ileana, 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 and it's really annoying. So Lews Therin is just awful. I hope he becomes a more important and more interesting character later on within Rand's head, but until then... Liandrin. Liandrin, in book 2, she was so menacing and so interesting, but then once she was put up with Moghedien, she just became so meh. No, I'm going to put her up here because she had such a really strong start. And I hope that she continued, like, I hope that the shield that Moghedien put around her gets eventually taken down so she can resume being a menacing threat. But until then, good is the best I can do for her. Loghain. Loghain has not been much of a presence as of yet, but I am interested to see where he's going to go. So I'm going to put him in good. I am interested, but it's just an interest. Loial. Loial is amazing. No, I like Lan more than Loial, but Loial is another one that just always stood out to me. He's just the biggest teddy bear ever, and he's a bookworm, and he is just... Loial is pretty much everything that I've always wanted to be, including the pointy ears and the wicked eyebrows. It's not something that I'm physically capable of, but hey, a guy can dream, right? Mat. I really like Mat. Mat is fantastic. There's not much else I can put into that. Mat's just fantastic. Mesaana. I haven't seen enough of her to really care. She's kind of like with Graendal. Just haven't seen enough of her to really care yet. Min. Min is fantastic. I like Min almost as much as I like Aviendha. Min is another one that really stuck out in my memory. She's one that I genuinely enjoy seeing on the page. And honestly, even her pining over Rand, just for some reason, her pining just does not get annoying to me. Mostly because I think that I know her, I get where she's coming from, and it's not something that she wanted or something that she asked for, but it's something that she knew was going to happen. And there was nothing she could do about it. Moghedien. Moghedien... Oh... I can't even say she started out menacing because almost right off the hop she was beaten by Nynaeve. But after that in book 5 she was really menacing. I'll put her there. I'm interested to see if she gets out of the item. I don't think she does, but I'm interested to see if she does manage to get out of it. Because Otherwise, that's just a really, really sad end. Like, so early in the series, too. Moiraine. Moiraine is fantastic. She's another one that just stands out. Favorite character. I think I was only planning on putting one character in here, but if I'm being perfectly honest, these are the characters that I just love, and these are the characters that I just, every time I see them on the page, it just makes me happy. Moiraine, every time. She sucks in New Spring. I hated her in New Spring, but everything after that, she has just been the GOAT of the books. Actually, if I'm being perfectly honest, she is one of the greatest characters in these books. The fact that she's gone pisses me off to no end. But I suppose nothing good can stay. Makes me scared for the others that I'm going to put up there. Morghese. Morghese is good. I think she has a lot more character growth to go. I think she has a lot more character to be presented, but I don't think she's got really much going on for her right now. You know, she did just have a major character moment in book 5, but, well. Turns out I missed one that I haven't reached in terms of character yet. So, yeah. Interesting. Pedron Niall. I don't think I remember him being anything other than mentioned past the prologue for The Dragon Reborn. So, just not enough there for me to really have an opinion. He's there with Missandei and Graendal. I do think he's an interesting enough character so far. I think he's got something of a head on his shoulders. I think he's willing to accept fact when he sees it. The problem is he has to be able to see the fact first. Other than that, you know, he's just not enough there. Nynaeve. Nynaeve is the absolute worst of the worst. I hate Nynaeve so much. Like, I don't mind characters that are strong-willed or stubborn. I mean, hell, if I hated characters that were strong-willed or stubborn, most of these would have to be down here. The problem with Nynaeve is that she's a bully. She's an absolute bully for the majority of these first 5 books. And anytime somebody stands up to her, she just slinks away. She just, no. Like, I get that this is supposed to be her character and supposed to have this big character arc where she learns a bunch of stuff, but I thought, you know, once the whole thing with Brigitte happened and she learned that she is capable of being selfish and capable of being foolish and running into things, that she'd have this big character moment where she's like, maybe I need to lighten up a little bit. But no, Brigitte just kind of ruins that one too, because she's like, yeah, that's not you, and I don't like this version of you, so go back to being what you were. And I hate it. I genuinely hate it. I've heard that Nynaeve gets better, but for these first 5 books, she is just the worst character, and I hate every moment that she's on the page. Because all she does is just berate and belittle everybody. You know, she has no problem calling everybody else around her a fool, while continuing to march headlong into every trap ahead of her. She doesn't even stop to question anything. Just, if there's a potential trap going on, she's just gonna march right into it. But everybody else around her is a fool. Not her, though. She's just the worst. I hate her. Padan Fain. Padan Fain... I don't know if I like him as a character. He was kind of interesting in the first few books, but he's become just less and less of a notable character. So I'm gonna put him just a little bit above Liandrin. that's about as far as Padone Fane so far deserves to go. Perrin. Perrin is my absolute favorite character in these books so far. I mean, he was my favorite character when I was first reading them too. Like, Perrin is one of the reasons why I grew a beard when I got old enough. It's because I idolized Perrin. Perrin was just that sort of character that I just genuinely adored growing up. And, well, it kind of makes sense for me. Rahvin. Rahvin, in terms of its political intrigue, he was kind of interesting. But far from that, I can't really... You know what? Just because I'm that kind of person, I'm putting him under Morghese. But also because I just like Morghese as a character more than Rahvin. Rand. Rand is great. He's not one of my favorite characters, but Rand as a character just makes me happy. He's the sort of character that these books need to be about. You know, him being the Dragon Reborn and him having the sort of personality that makes him, at the very least, a good leader as he's trying to figure out how to be a good leader. It does make him interesting. You know, he still sees himself as just a farm boy. He still sees himself as just a shepherd. But at the same time, he knows he has this huge responsibility. And, you know, I do think it's interesting that nobody has ever actually asked him how he's doing, how this is actually affecting him mentally. They just kind of have these expectations about him. And that is kind of telling in a way. Rhuarc. Rhuarc is great. He goes right there. Like, he has been such a huge support for Rand all the way through Book 4, like all the way through the Aiel Waste, and just doing everything that he can do to try and help Rand along. Rhuarc has been there, and he's just been awesome. Samael. I find Samael has just been talked about more than he's actually been on the page. I do think he's more interesting than, say, a lot of these other characters, but so far, other than just trying to draw him into a trap with Lanfear, Grandal, and Rahvin, he's just not that interesting to me so far. Actually, same could be said about Savannah. Savannah is just not as interesting as Couladin was. She goes under Grandal, but above Ingtar. Ingtar just annoyed me. Siuan. I kind of want to put Siuan here because she is very abrasive, and she, even in her current position, she still demands respect and demands all this kudos to who she used to be, despite no longer really being anybody. But if I'm being perfectly honest, she kind of just deserves to be at the bottom of good. Because she is a good character. And she does kind of have this entire personality that she had as the Amyrlin. And her as the Amyrlin is great. You know, she was the person that she needed to be as the Amyrlin. But once she was no longer the Amyrlin, I do understand that that sort of thing is not hard. It's not easy to just turn off. You can't just turn off being a leader. Especially when she's been leading for as long as she had. Cerylea. Cerylea, she's the top of meh. She's a good character, but I just don't care for the most part. Like, her as a character, she's more attached to, say, Egwene. But when she is around, she's just kind of a bit of a I don't know, she's just not that interesting to me. Maybe she becomes more interesting later on, but right now, she just isn't very interesting to me. Slayer. Slayer's meh. Just straight up meh. Don't really care. He was such an obvious villain in book 4. Like, it was just meh. Talonvor. Talonvor is definitely the sort of person Morghese needs. I enjoy Talonvor. He's a bit of a sourpuss, sure, but he has his reasons, and I get his reasoning. And he hasn't been around long enough for his sourpuss attitude to really rub me the wrong way. So, you know, like the sourpuss that Swan is, or the sourpuss that Nynaeve is, their prevalence throughout the books makes it really difficult for me to like them. I do like Swan more than Nynaeve because, well, she is learning some humility. Nynaeve has yet to learn humility in a way that's actually stuck. And that's annoying to me. Telmanes. I know he's a person with... he's a person allied with Mat in terms of military, but for the most part, he's so forgettable. So, like, he's just really forgettable. I really just don't care about him. Tam. Tam is just amazing as a character. Like, he's just this strong, fascinating character. And as Rand's father, as Rand's... like, he is the man who raised Rand to be the man that he is. And while Rand has to take on this huge responsibility, if Tam had raised him to be anything but what Rand is, things could have gone so much worse. But Rand is as great as he is because Tam is such a strong character. And just that good of a person. Tom Merrilin. I really like Tom Merrilin. I don't think I like him as much as Elaine, but I really like Tom. I think he tends to coddle Elaine and Nynaeve a little bit too much. You know, just kind of because they're women. But Tom is also Tom. He's just kind of who he is. I don't know. I like him, but he could be better, I guess. Uno, the Gruff Shinaran. Yeah, this is kind of where Uno belongs, at least so far. He's been a really, really interesting character. I do like the dynamic between him and Nynaeve. And I do look forward to seeing where he goes in the books. I'm interested in his character. He definitely makes me want to know more about his character. Especially after this whole Masema being the prophet of the dragon. Like, Jesus. And finally, Verin. Verin's interesting. I can't say as I really like Verin as a character. But I don't think she's a terrible character either. I put her just a little under Gull. I kind of want to see where she's going with everything. I do really want to see where her character arc goes. Because I don't think she's done. Because she keeps showing up. So I don't think she's done. But I do really want to know where it goes. And that's all of them. I look forward to seeing who these characters are. Because I don't know who any of these people are, and actually, I kind of want to see if any of this changes. You know, I know a lot of people really hate Faile. I kind of want to see if I end up not liking Faile. Like, if she can fall from being one of my favorite characters to somebody that I genuinely don't like. I genuinely want Nynaeve to end up in this category. I really want to love Nynaeve as a character. Being abrasive is fine as a character. Hell, Elaine can be abrasive. Egwene can be super abrasive. Moraine was often abrasive. Faile can be abrasive. That is fine to me. I don't care that she's strong-willed. As I said, if strong-will was a negative character development thing for me, every character would be in just the worst. I don't like Nynaeve because she's a bully who lacks any sort of self-awareness and is just filled with her own personal hubris. I really want her to become humble. I really want her to be humbled. I want her to be able to grow as a character and become... I don't care if she's, you know, still a sourpuss. I don't care about that. What I care about is she becomes less of a bully. Actually, that's probably a lot of the reason why Elaida's down here. She's just kind of a bully. But she's not near the bully Nynaeve is. Elaida bullies people because she has power and she can. Nynaeve bullies people because that's just the only way that she knows how to do things. Nynaeve bullies people because she wants to, and I hate that. She bullies her friends. She bullies the people that she genuinely cares about. And wow, this is really getting onto just how much I just hate Nynaeve as a character. I haven't even described why I love Perrin so much as a character, but I mean, you kind of have to read the books, and a lot of people disagree with how much Perrin is a great character. These are just the characters that I genuinely love, and I love seeing them on the page. Yeah, no, this is kind of how I feel about everything. But that's about all I got for you guys. So, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, you know, all that fun YouTube-y stuff. And as per usual, I'll be seeing ya.